Sufi Yoga. Part 2. Conversations with Kayir. So, now some excerpts from conversations with Kayir. We asked him, Kayir, how did you merge with the Father? He answered, I died. I died of the plague. Everything ended. And there remained only he. He alone, one and boundless, remained. And there was nothing but he. Everything I did before, striving to the emergence, all meditations, all other efforts, and pain of the body, everything was over. He alone remained. And now, when he looks at the earth, Kayir appears on it. Could you tell us a bit more? Yes, I will tell you. In the past, I incarnated in Middle Asia, grew up in the traditions of Sufism. It was then that I touched for the first time the primordial consciousness. The name Kayir is from this incarnation. Do you remember? I described how I meditated when the sun was rising in the desert. Do you know who is a dervish? A true dervish is not a poor Sufi monk who goes begging. No, a dervish is a wayfarer, the one who goes and seeks. A dervish is the one who goes on the great path toward cognition of the Creator. My sheikh was not divine. He was like a person who rests calmly after traversing a part of the path. He did not aspire to God with all his heart, but lived in calm and harmony. I am grateful to him. It was he who taught me correct meditation, correct methods of working with the consciousness. One of my first strong impressions in learning was from Sufi whirling. This method helped me to experience for the first time that I am not a body but a consciousness, a living, self-aware light. Kayir slowly begins to whirl, and his light clothes fly up and turn in this movement into gentle waves like those on the surface of the sea. He continues to whirl, and his clothes become like a transparent cover extending to the horizon, under which a sea of light waves softly. Then the whirling ceased, yet the light remained. Then he continues the narration. There was also the desert. It is an expanse where, up to the horizon, there is only sand and the boundless sky above it. There was no one there, only the eternal Almighty God, and a small grain called Kair in the midst of the desert. We were always two together, one to one, and no one else, wherever you look. There, God taught me to watch the sunrise. Have you ever watched the sunrise in the desert? It is quite different from the one in your land. The dark sky, full of stars, lies on the surface of the planet. My body sits on the sandy bottom of this ocean of stars. The eternity and infinity of the universe embraces me. Then gradually dawn begins. The sky becomes brighter, changes its color. The giant disk of the sun appears over the horizon. The rising of the sun. The ocean of the starry sky turns into an ocean of light above the earth. It is in this way that I watched the sunrise of every day of my life. But once I suddenly sank into more subtle light, which lay deeper. With gentle strokes of my now giant arms, I could submerge deeper and deeper. It was a wonder. This light did not disappear after sunset. Since that time, sitting in the desert and waiting for sunrise, I could already be in that light. And when the light of the risen sun filled the entire expanse, immeasurable joy of experiencing the presence of God in everything filled me. My body could walk toward the sun, while I was below and deeper, dwelling in the light of God, supporting tenderly with my palms the sea of light above the surface of the earth. I learned to stay in the depth always, there, as if in the heart of the earth, was a passage leading into the Creator of everything, into the heart of the Absolute. It is in this way that I acquainted myself with the consciousness of the Creator, but I had not become one with Him. Before my apprenticeship with the Sheikh, a young woman touched my heart. Now I see how foolish my understanding of asceticism was. I could take her with me into the path. But at that time I began to seek solitude in the desert in order to forget her. This longing for earthly love, which had not been lived through, brought me to a new incarnation. It took place here, in this land, where you live. Here I met my earthly love, got married, had a son. Yet, in the dreams, I often saw sunrise in the desert, and again I began to seek the path, became a wayfarer walking this path. I grew here, on these places of power, which are known to you too. I was helped to recall that which I knew in the past, and I cognized emergence with him deeper and deeper, learned to be one with him, completely one, learned to love all lives, learned to love people. Then I moved to Middle Asia. And what happened then? I told you already. We asked, tell us, Kair, why Mahadoubles of the divine teachers very often stand in the midst of busy streets, squares, in parks, on lakes, on the places visited by a large number of people who do not aspire to God at all? Kair answered, the answer is simple. We are fishers of men, as Jesus once put it. We act like radars, detectors of good emotions in people, even the slightest ones. And we seek to support these tendencies in every person. We are also realizators of people's destinies. An embodied person is a separate autonomous system. Usually, there is no entrance from the outside. The doors can be opened only from the inside. What opens these doors? Emotions. Good emotions, especially those which accompany altruistic deeds, and make the soul opened to the light. It is this openness that allows the light to flow inside the soul. Someone of us asked, why is it so difficult? God is omnipotent. Why he cannot enter in some other way? Of course, God is omnipotent, answered Kair, and every soul is on his palm. Yet the freedom of will which he granted to people does not allow him to intervene uninvited in that autonomous system called a human. The task of the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Spirits, to be more precise, consists exactly in this, in detecting every new opportunity for contacting souls of people, for the sake of correcting their advancement, missing no chance. I would also like to say a little about intent. The intent to cognize the Creator, to merge into Him, and to help other people in this. This must be absolutely dominant in the life of a spiritual warrior. And this intent must not contain anything earthly. Only then it will be able to make miracles, passing freely through all the worldly pile-ups and achieving the goal. Only such an intent has the true power to create. The true intent of the developed consciousness of a spiritual warrior is beyond people's notions about the laws of the physical world, about what is possible and impossible. Therefore, it equally easily accomplishes both the possible and the impossible. One has to subjugate completely the mind, body, and consciousness to the intent of uniting with me. One has to aim for the complete mergence, in which there is nothing left of that which the former separate self considered its own. In that case, I too give myself fully to such a warrior. In the entire universe, it is only love that can bring one to the true, unlimited, divine freedom. I love you, and want to give you this freedom. I am ready to give myself to everyone who sincerely desires it. Such is my essence. I want nothing but to give myself through love, to give myself to you and to everyone worthy. Entrust yourselves to me completely. The best solution to all earthly troubles is in me. The first thing to recall in the situations of earthly troubles is my universal calm. To be in calm means that you do not allow yourself to become involved recklessly with the whole consciousness in some earthly situation where passions boil. From the state of my universal calm, look at your troubles and see how petty and insignificant they are. Never engage in the battle with the lower self. Never cease the awareness of being united with me. Whatever happens in the course of the battle, I lose nothing. The lower self can suffer defeat, but the higher self can never do this. Meditations and mantras. So, when we have already learned to be aware of ourselves as consciousnesses within our physical bodies, when we have learned to move through the chakras, we can apply a very effective technique. We begin by first entering our anahata chakras with the entirety of ourselves as consciousnesses, together with the feeling of a head, hands, legs, etc. We push the walls of chakras with our spiritual hands in 6 directions. We can do this sequentially. first pushing the front wall forwards, then we push the other walls backwards, to the right, to the left, upwards, downwards, and then in all directions at once. Thanks to this, the chakra becomes larger. And we should work with all the other chakras in the same way. All chakras must be in good condition, expanded, cleansed, then they will begin to work with full effect to serve us. But the main chakra is the Anahata chakra. It is also very important to learn to look in different directions from the Anahata chakra, in particular backwards. When we look forward from the chakras, we still look into the world of matter, familiar to us. But if we look backward from the chakras, then the immaterial eons of the Absolute open up in front of us. And then we have to grow the Anahata chakra. We should place the main emphasis on it. The easiest way to start growing the Anahata chakra is to use the forms given by large plants and trees. Maybe you can find trees of power, that is, plants that are incomparably more powerful and at the same time subtler than other plants. It can be of different species: poplar, pine, spruce, and possibly others. Then we start filling with ourselves as spiritual hearts, even larger volumes of space, in the forms which our divine teachers provide to us. If we have developed ourselves as spiritual hearts, in the measure of hundreds of meters at least, then we already get the opportunity to communicate with the Holy Spirits, our divine teachers, the representatives of the Creator. A lot of people are looking for mantras that would help their development. Yes, indeed, there are such mantras. Many mantras have been imagined by people, but there are actually working mantras that help develop the chakras and feel God. One of the mantras, which was created precisely in Sufism, is the chanting of the greatness of Allah. Allah Akbar, or in Arabic, Allahu Akbar, U at the end is unstressed. Allahu Akbar. This mantra allows us, if we correctly understand this mantra and God's plan for us, then this mantra allows us to attune ourselves to the feeling of infinity, the universal greatness of the Creator, God the Father. Allahu Akbar. 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 Ну так можно. This is how we can sing. Out loud or to ourselves, we can sing in chorus, and we can even dance. But chanting should never be a mechanical pronunciation in the hope that Allah will hear it and take us to heaven. No. We do not get here or there because of the sounds which we make. But it depends on our state as consciousnesses that we have at that time. What I have said now is already enough to do a lot, both to develop oneself and to help others on this path. Good luck. Goodbye.